Hey guys, we're on our last unit, Unit 11, and this is day 1. We're going to start talking about circles. Okay, so in our warm-up, it says that a circle with a radius of 5 was divided into 24 congruent sectors. Sectors like a piece of a pie. It looks like a triangle, but it's not because the third side of the triangle is not a straight line segment. It's a rounded edge, all right, like a piece of pie or a piece of pizza. And then it says the sectors were rearranged as shown in the diagram below. And it says to the nearest integer, they want to know the value of x. And so you guys can see in this last picture here, this is the value of x, all right, the length of that. And the length of that comes from this, okay? And that comes from this, okay? Which, going back to the original picture, is this, all right? And hopefully you guys remember that this is circumference. Except it's not the full circumference, it's actually only half of the circumference. And so we're going to go ahead and say that circumference equals pi d from our formula or a reference sheet. And it says that the radius was 5, which would make the diameter equal to 10. Okay, and so we'll go ahead and say that circumference is equal to pi times 10 or 10 pi. But remember that we don't want the whole circumference, we only want half. Okay, and so that would be 5 pi. Right? Half of 10 pi is 5 pi. And 5 pi in our calculator, because it says nearest on our paper, is 15.707 ... which to the nearest integer would round to 16. And so it's choice 2. Okay, so that's a little bit of our prior knowledge about circles. And now we're going to talk a lot about our vocab for circles. Okay, the definition of a circle, guys, is that it's all points equidistant from a given point. And that given point, guys, is called the center. And a lot of times in circles, they call that center point O. Okay, so a circle is named with the center point. Also, we have to know that all circles are similar because they all have the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. Okay, this circle would be called circle O. Okay. We should know already a radius is a line segment from the center to any point on the circumference. In our picture here, we have multiple radii. One of them could be OC, another one could be OA, and a third one could be OB. All of them come from the center of O and go to the edge of the circle. This is a new name for us, a new word, a new vocab, chord, C-H-O-R-D, a line segment whose endpoints are on the circumference. Okay, so for instance, notice D and E are both points on the circumference, and this line segment connects them. And so we could say that DE is a chord. Okay, we could also say HK is a chord. Okay, and we could also go and name a third one. A, B is also a chord. However, this is a specific chord because it also passes through the center of the circle. That specific chord is called a diameter, which is in our next one. Okay, a diameter is a chord that passes through the center point of the circle. In our picture, our diameter would be AB. Okay, and we have another new word, and that's secant. Okay, so I got to scroll up to right, but I want to look at the picture too, so I'll scroll back up. A secant is a line that intersects the circle at 2 points. Okay, so if I go back up, looking for a line that intersects our circle at 2 points, this one right here called HK. That is a line, and it intersects at H and at K. So if we're just talking about line segment HK, that's a chord. But if we're talking about the full line, then that's a secant. And so our secant would be HK, but because it's a line, we have to go back and put our line symbol over it. Okay. Next one up is a tangent. And a tangent is a line that intersects the circle in exactly 1 point. Okay, name a tangent. So I got to go back up and look for a line that only intersects the circle at 1 point. And when a line intersects a circle at 1 point, it doesn't go through the circle, because if it went through the circle, it would intersect it at 2 points. So this right here, this line here, intersects the circle only at point F. And so we would say FG is our tangent. But we also have to remember that it's a line, so we put the line symbol above it. All right, so remember tangent, touch, just touch. T for tangent, T for touch. Okay, whereas a secant, okay, I think SEC, sec, second, a second time. So it intersects it at a second time. Okay, so hopefully that'll help you remember the two lines in our circle pictures. Okay, if it's a line that intersects the circle at a second time along with a first time, it's a secant. If it's a line that just touches the circle, T for touch, T for tangent. Okay. All right, an arc is any part of the circle. All right, so any part of the curved part of the circle. There's two different arcs. There's one's a minor arc and one's a major arc. A minor arc is an arc whose measure is less than 180 degrees, so less than half the circle. A minor arc is usually named with 2 points. Okay? So if we go back up to our picture, we can go ahead and take a look at a minor arc. So any arc, any curved part with 2 letters that is definitely less than half the circle. So for instance, AC here is definitely less than half the circle, so we could call that arc AC as our minor arc. There are a lot more in our picture, but we just need to know one. And so we'll say arc AC. Now this is a new symbol for us. We have to put a curved arc above our letters so we know it's arc AC. A major arc is an arc whose measure is between 180 degrees and 360 degrees. A major arc is usually named by 3 points. So name a major arc. So if I go back up, and I look for a major arc, more than half the circle. So let's go with A going around. That would be half the circle, which would count as a major arc, or we could just go a little bit more and maybe go to E. So from A all the way around to E, we could say, but we have to use 3 letters, and I'll show you guys why in a second. So it doesn't matter any of the points that we hit as we traveled around that black arc. So for instance, we could go H, K, E. That would be a major arc, all right? And the reason why we have to use 3 letters is because, watch, if I go AE, I could go this way AE, but that would be a minor arc because it's less than half the circle. And so that's why you're required to use 3 letters. So when you read an arc, you know exactly what direction to go in. So you are familiar with if that arc is a large arc or a small arc, if you go the small way or the large way. Okay, so we'll practice with those so we understand what they are. All right, and we're going to go ahead and go to the next page of notes. I'll see you there.